Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the coveted D stream of 5-Digi United States Cup. To anyone watching tonight, I'm Hydrol, joined here by our awesome Kevin, and we are going into the losers quarterfinals round 2 here. Texas C versus Georgia B. And as we get settled in here, Texas C immediately going for that easy 1 ban. I think the reading banner, the reading strategy is something that they've really been leaning on recently in these past few matches, and I think it makes a lot of sense with Georgia B having some of those practice players like Good Job Caleb on their roster. Meanwhile, Georgia B has 2 bans. I'm interested to see what they'll go for. I think off the bat, Texas C looks like a very strong tapping roster, but they have put up some very good carry scores and very good aim scores across the board, especially on the backs of Hilda, that star carry on their team. And it looks like, yeah, they are going to actually take those aim picks off their hands. Hidden or DT1 and Nomad 1 definitely makes a lot of sense after the very consistent showings on those or from Texas C against Michigan B earlier today. Instantly that hit into going out, so it's a full reading ban and a full aim ban coming from Texas and Georgia. And with that, we're immediately hopping into a DT2 coming in from Texas C. That Gengao Ozofun hop.
Hello, where'd my caster go? You still here?
Hello,
Okay.
hello. Had to had to handle a few things. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Just a moment.
It's all good.
Making sure that I've got everything open where they need. But yes, okay, I am a real person now. And it looks like it looks like teams are ready to lock it in for this DT2 ship. Hop on Fleet, also known as Rocco, and QK going to be fielding for Texas C. Meanwhile, on the right side in Georgia B, got Brian, Aoyan, and Aroi. Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
All good?
These colors, the colors, please.
I mean, it looks like, we have some people who are unfamiliar with multis. That's fine, minor league. All
Minor
good.
league, yeah. This is actually Ship's first tournament, so...
So that's completely fair, yeah, understandable.
Okay, there we go. Now we have... Right, now we've got a match in our hand. I think key... historically, I think key players that you're going to want to be looking at here... players that you're going to want to look at here... Most likely, Aoyan and then Rocco or Hop on Flea up at the bottom of your screen. Both these guys have been sort of the carry players of their teams. But it's going to be Rocco to find the first break. Finds a slider break there. But with the accuracies on the side of Georgia B, it is going to stay on over for Texas. That's one slider break. Hopefully not going to cause too much troubles. It's actually Rocco going to be struggling with the axe. Ship and QK doing the work here. But it's going to be Brian to be caught up on a reverse slider, and that gives the combo lead back to Texas now. Very helpful here. Aoyan and Aroi trying their best, but accuracy faltering down to that 80 or 85%, that 90% on Aroi, the highest on his team. But it's going to be a break from Aoyan, and that's one FC left on the side of Georgia B, and it's already 2 FCs to 1. Aroi trying his best, but everyone on Texas with the higher accuracy. And there's the break. Gotta be a shutout first pick here. But just like that, Chip is gonna trade the full combo, and so will QK. So now is a recovery on Brian, but Rocco recovering after that slider break, and it's going to take a complete meltdown for Georgia B to take this one back here. But at this massive stream, it's like 48 notes. Everyone on Texas holds. And it's Brian to hold and Roy to hold as well, but Aoyan is starting to struggle really bad. And it's already been shut out. Ship, unfortunately, going to find another break, but it's going to be a recovery at the end for Rocco, and it's 1.7 million, a 550,000 score lead, and a reverse choke from Rocco to end the map off. And it's a very convincing first pick over for Texas here. Leaves a lot more of the tapping picks open. You're already going to be eyeing something like the Nomad 2, even with its more flow aim difficulty. They're asking me to hop on Fleet. They're speaking to me. But I can only promise ice cream game if Texas C wins, unfortunately. Let it be known, if you lose, you are all clocking in for 12 hours of the gas station. Also, AC this year is actually on 18 for Georgia. This is, I believe, yeah, AC this year is on 18. So they are up in the major league. I just. And Georgia is going to be responding with the Nomad 3. I think a fairly sensible pick coming in from Georgia here. I think Texas C has been a little iffy on these more control-y maps here, but there is of course no way to predict how this map will go. Tilda, Nutty, and Sakura no Toki, also known as Demi, already hopping into the lobby. Meanwhile, Arroy lobby sitting, or at least waiting for their other teammates.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Got a second caster now.
We did it.
Right in time for Nomad 3 as well.
Yep, and it looks like it's Aoi and Azalem coming in, most likely, and Bryant coming in to switch out for Arroy here, just lobby sitting there. You can. And I think this map is you're really going to be looking at, again, likely Aoyan and Tilda here. I think Aoyan has sort of been the rock for Georgia B on a lot of picks, especially these less tapping heavy ones. Meanwhile, Tilda has just been jack of all trades for C team, or for Texas C here.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting Nomad 3 here. Very kind of a diff spiky map. Start is no slouch, but then it kind of evens out for a while, and you get a couple of really nasty diff spikes here. So this early combo makes a pretty big difference, and we're seeing Ayan coming out of this intro with quite a combo lead here. That said, looks like the other players not holding quite as much supporting combos we're seeing across Texas C. And with Azalem dropping there, we are going to see that score gap flip over and start to go in Texas C's favor.
Yeah, the only barrier right now just being Demi's accuracy down really low at 95. Tilda doing their best to fight that off, and with the brace from Nutty and Brian, the trades coming in, it's not looking favored towards Texas anymore, but the accuracy on Tilda doing a lot of work against Aoyin's accuracy deficit here, down 5% off Tilda. So if Aoyin or Zalem break, it's going to start looking very bad. And as I say that, Zalem's going to break on the circle slider there. So it's up to Aoyin, and lead will come over. But with the constant trades on the bottom of the screen here, it's going to come down to the wire. Few extra breaks from Nutty and extra accuracy deficit from Demi going to bring it down 17,000 up at the halfway point.
That slight AC advantage for Tilda here, well, not slight, but the slight score advantage from the AC that Tilda has. Those other two players, aside from your big combos here, are going to make a really huge difference in the outcome of this match. And we're just seeing a little bit better combo from Bryant and Azelium here.
We're really seeing a little more support here. And Aoyin is doing better than he did against Florida, so there is that. But it's a double break coming from Brian and Azalem. So now it's again just back to Aoyin. Tilda's gonna find the break, and oh, just like that, Aoyin can take this away. And no, everyone's chain missing all of a sudden. But I think the chain misses only benefit Georgia. There would have had to be a hold, and with the full break on Texas, it's 100k into the ending. When you see both teams have one player that takes up half their team score, even a score lead like 100,000 can seem gargantuan. It might not be over, but the door is closing for Texas C on this first pick. A great first pick coming from Georgia C here off the back of a very long fought FC from Aoyin.
Yeah, and it's just going to get more and more difficult for Texas C to have any shot of coming back on this, even with a sixth of the map remaining on such a long map. Georgia B is just closing this out at this point.
Georgia B closing it out, but again, these are both first picks that we're seeing here, so I think it makes a lot of sense that we see a few blowouts here. I think this already does sort of set the tone for the match. Texas going to have another pick to respond, and I think we're going to be seeing another tapping pick here after that complete walloping on DT2. Demi actually not having the lowest miscount, but the accuracy just not there even when the combo was. And unfortunately, it's going to make a pretty huge difference here. What else is there to respond with? I think I'd already be looking at that Nomad 5 if I was Texas. Nomad 2 possibly in the bag, but I think taking their time here, probably warming their players back up. I think you'll notice that it's Rocco and Ship really holding the line on these mechanics maps, and then normally you'll see QK or Tilda. So that sort of roster switch definitely takes some time to warm back up. I think that the timer is definitely run out by now. I don't know. They are super stalling the pick, and it's gonna be Nomad 5 coming from Texas, trying to capitalize off of that speed pick right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, I am curious to see whether it'll be QK or even someone like Tilda to come in. I think Ship and Rocco kind of holding the line for sure there, or holding the line on this on this No Mod 5 for sure after what happened the first time, or after what happened on the first run around. Rocco and Ship both getting a very solid 500k.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the most similar in the pool to the DT2, but a little bit shorter bursts, I think, for the most part. Maybe a little bit more aim.
Yeah. And yeah, slightly higher BPM, definitely more focused on on the bursts and the no mod speed, or on the bursts and the sort of control that you normally see in a no mod speed.
Yeah.
We can already see the lobby. It's Ao Yin and Brian back in. Not sure. I think they may be switching out Aroy for Aceit here. Aroy kind of faltering a little bit when they played it against Florida C. So, you know, definitely a sensible switch out here. But Texas C going to be maintaining that roster from the DT2, QK, Ship, and Rocco. The GGs are, or not the G, and the good lucks are coming up in chat, which means we are about to go.
Right. Once again, this is another somewhat long map. Not the longest, but at about 3 minutes. This is going to be one of those ones to watch. Even if there are some mistakes early on, there's a lot of time to recover, but eventually you can sort of hit a point where it gets very difficult to build up much score if mistakes do come through.
Yeah, and we've seen it in a lot of matches here where you just need that one player to break through that wall. Just one 700k or even an FC is normally what makes the difference. Has normally been what makes the difference on this map. But accuracy is definitely also going to be a huge part of this. Rocco finding a lot of accuracy drops on the 1/3. It's going to give the score lead over to Georgia now for the time being. But some traded drops from Ship, Aceit. I was going to talk about the accuracy, but it's Ship and Aceit to drop. Aceit now drops again. Ship actually the one holding the big combo. Just like that, Ship and Rocco both dropping, so now it's just QK on that FC. 2 FCs to hold to the slow slider here. The tides have flipped. Again, Texas C looking at the combos on Rocco and Ship last time. Now it's QK holding the line here against a double FC from Ao Yin and Brian.
Yeah, and as we get to this halfway point, this is going to be an opportunity for Georgia to start running away with the score here. Still holding on to 2 FCs compared to 1 on Texas C. The longer that
does not present itself.
It does not, and we're getting into some relatively free combo for a lot of these players. If you're comfortable hitting those streams, it's a little bit more stamina looking, but we do get Iwan breaking, which is going to be an opportunity for Texas.
No, that's a massive opportunity for Texas. Brian dropping a lot of accuracy on the stamina portions here, down at 86 now. Ao Yin the only player above 90%. Meanwhile, we haven't kept very good track of the. Ship actually is 95, and this accuracy lead over Georgia is pulling them over additionally with the FC on QK. With Ao Yin finding a slider break, it's just Aceit now on that 90% recovery. Finds the slider break on the buzz slider, and I think that's gonna be another shutout here. With 3 massive combos, QK continuing to hold. This might be an FC here.
Yeah, you were also 100% right about the accuracy playing a huge role in this.
UK finally finds the break, so the ship, and yet again it's Rocco, the final combo to hold on Texas. Down at this final slider, and it looked dicey in the middle, but the consistency on this tapping roster continues to show. The stamina just won't cut it for Brian or Ace It, and it's gonna be another decisive tapping pick, one for Texas C here. Georgia has another shot to respond.
Yeah. Much stronger accuracies across the board for Texas C, even though they made the mistakes a little bit earlier on. They just were clearly a bit more consistent, a bit more comfortable overall, and they were able to clutch it at the end.
Much more consistent. Yeah, much more consistent at the end for sure. You know, QK has to be the star of this match, but some great support from Rocco and Ship. Rocco holding the line with that 95% accuracy, even with the lower combo. And now, off of that Nomad 3 win, right? I think Georgia could 100% look at something like something like the Hidden 3, or even something more techy like the or not something more techy like the Nomad 4. Though granted, Tilda has been a very scary player to put up against on these sorts of picks. And with the carry potential there, I don't know if it's going to be something that Georgia wants. They are going to take the smoke on the tech, though.
Interesting.
I think at the end of the day, Steve, it does come down to confidence, and I think this Georgia roster is going to be very confident. They did pull up the double 600K on Hypersonic in their match against Florida.
That is true. Sometimes you just have to pick what you know you're going to do well on.
It just comes down to, right, who can we field for this? And it looks like, and on paper, this Nomad 4, again, looks very strong for Georgia over Texas. The supporting combos on Texas C weren't there for the last run around, but it looks like they are going to be making a switch out. Nutty going in over Ship this time, possibly. Meanwhile, Bryant, with being the second 600K for Georgia, from the looks of it, you know, could be practicing. They could be talking a switch out, but I think lots of potential here for Georgia and for Texas to, you know, to keep this momentum going. It's gonna be Bryant to come in for the final slot on Georgia. Looks like with the good lucks coming in, that is for sure a switch out. Ship gonna be switching out for Nutty. Nutty here, maybe just the nerves.
And yeah, with that, we're getting into this one.
Yep.
Most of this map, mostly being sliders, bit of a tough start, but most of the map being slider aim. The end could potentially play a really big factor in either a comeback or a bunch of mistakes just due to switching up and really seeing a whole lot of that cut streams.
Yeah, and it looks like at streamer, can we panic button or did Azalem DC?
Sorry, not paying attention.
Okay, yeah, it was just a panic button thing. And it looks like right off the bat we've got early breaks coming in from Nutty on the aim. Oh, that's definitely not what you want to see if you're hoping for that Texas breakpoint. And now as we really get into the slider aim, it's Tilda, it's Brian, and Azalem to hold the FCs. It's just Tilda on the side of Texas right now. It actually is just Tilda. Meanwhile, you have two FCs and what's essentially a third FC from Alien.
Salem does find a break, but still holding strong with Ian and Bryant here.
Yeah, but with the trade out from Tilda, this might already have called the match. Bryant doing much better in the accuracy department than Azalem. and Aoyin just holding on like he did the last time around.
Yeah.
It already looks like a sealed and settled pick on this No Mod 4.
There is always potential for a lot of strong mistakes on this more tapping heavy section. We do see Bryant go down, but there's just not that much combo on Texas C to leverage here, and Aeon's still holding strong.
It would take a meltdown from Aoyin, but I think he's pulled it far away by now, and with that break from Nutty, it's definitely called it now.
Not quite an FC.
All eyes on Aoyin, but unfortunately does not close the FC out. But they are going to just barely eke out their score from last run. Georgia B gonna manage to break the 1.7 million score barrier and give a pretty decisive second pick coming into this third round of picks. Texas C, Texas C, from the looks of it, I think this is going to be a very mechanics heavy pick for them. I'm not sure what that's going to entail.
So far, both of these teams doing a pretty good job with their picks, knowing what their advantages are on.
Yeah, they've had a very good, or they have a very good understanding of not just what they're strong at, but also what other teams are weak at, and Texas C just going to sort of iron out the last of those dedicated start to iron out the last of those dedicated tapping picks with that No Mod 2. We are going to be seeing Grievous Fate here in at the midway, or coming up to the midway point of this match.
I mean, I do think Texas still potentially has a couple of other tapping related picks, but sort of your core tapping maps, this is, I guess, the last one. There is also DT3s open still, I think, right?
There is DT3. I think that's a lot more burst heavy though, and we have seen a lot of teams kind of just come in and put
it's a
up,
hard map. It's a very difficult map.
It is a difficult map for sure. And I think this No Mod 2, a lot more opportunity to miss a lot less. Right, there's a much lower chance of someone just running away with that single FC.
Absolutely. It's going to come much more down to consistency, and if a team isn't feeling super comfortable on it, they might not feel like they have enough of an edge for it to be worth picking. We'll see, though.
But to stay focused on the map at hand, now coming up to that No Mod 2, I do not believe we got a chance to see Georgia play this against Florida C, but looks like they will be bringing that same No Mod roster as No Mod 5, Aceit, Brian, and Aoyin. Meanwhile, it's gonna be another switch out here. Nutty switching out for Ship on this second go around. Toda and K to stay for the No Mod 2.
Banjo giving us a little bit more difficulties, but looks like we're getting into it now for real.
Yep. And I think QK is gonna be the first to break. Ship finding a pretty major no lock as well. Seemed to no lock the straightaway stream.
Aceit trades it back, but still, this is a much shorter No Mod 2 than we sometimes see, so these early breaks are going to matter a lot more than they would in a longer map.
That also means that the combos that people hold are going to be so much more important. Ship finds a major misaim there. And it looks like it's just going to be the consistency on Georgia B pulling it further. Aoyin's the first to find Aoyin's gonna find a big break there though, so not super out of the question yet, but it's going to come down to that star score up on the top left. But there's 2 FCs, 1 FC now. Texas has the shot to capitalize. ASIT finds the slider break. And everyone on Texas is holding combo. Another break from Brian is gonna help with Sit.
And that score from Tilda is just going to start snowballing and running away here as the score lead very rapidly shifts more and more towards Texas' favor here. Honestly, it's not even going to matter that much what happens on the rest of the team, just so long as Tilda can hold on. And we do see the break from Tilda, but they already have a 240k advantage here, and it's staying pretty stable. There's just nothing on Georgia B to pull that back as we get into the last moments of this map.
And look at that. I said that there was less of a chance that we'd see that star carry, and look what happened. Tilda, 98.5%. FCing 3/4 of the map to claw it back for Texas. Meanwhile, some really good support from Ship there. The consistency on Georgia B there with the scores, but unfortunately, without that star performance, it just slipped away from them at the end.
Solid performances across the board from Georgia. It's just hard to go up against someone who's basically doing a 2v1.
Yeah, and Tilda getting away with what is essentially a 2v1 there. And it's gonna help a lot there, because a breakpoint at this point in the match really starts to shift the momentum away. Now Georgia B we've essentially run out the entire no-mod pool, so now we're gonna have to start looking into the mods.
It would be very funny if they picked no-mod 1. I don't know that it would make sense, but it would be very funny.
This actually makes perfect sense, because yes, we can pick no-mod 1.
Pick it for the bit. No, I don't know. I could see it hitting 3.
Yeah, I think on paper, hidden 1 might be.
Oh
the
wait,
pick
no,
here
Nomad
from
1 is
Georgia.
gone.
No, yeah, Nomad 1 is gone.
I forgot about that.
And they're actually going to be going hidden 3 here.
Yes. Yeah, very, very skill cap hidden map here. Kind of one of the more difficult maps of the pool. Definitely favored towards more tech or gimmick strong teams. Tech and alt.
For sure. This pick, I think, is going to be super interesting to watch, because Georgia, you look at the stats on paper. Not only was there the carry score on Tilda last run, but they actually got 200k over 200k over Georgia B in their losers round 1 match. So, maybe it's a low roll or maybe it's a confidence thing, but this map is definitely super prone to those types of chain misses.
Absolutely. This is one of those maps where it's very difficult to be super consistent on it. If you're feeling comfortable with it, if you can read everything, if you can, in theory, aim everything, that does not guarantee a high score, even if you're usually pretty consistent. It's kind of a scary map to pick, but it's just such a good map that I think everybody's picking it anyway.
Yeah, and I think of any of the maps that we've seen here, I think this is definitely a super carry potential map. We saw it with Tilda in the last run around, or we saw it with Tilda when they played it against Michigan. But you get a runaway combo, and it really does just compound on itself. But with that, we are going to be seeing the start of this map. Azalem switching out for good job Caleb here. Meanwhile, Texas keeping up with that roster.
Difficult start to this map, seeing an early miss from Ship here.
Likewise with Caleb, but Everyone does recover. Tilda's gonna be the one to find the first break, though.
But as we get into these sort of really awkward alt patterns, we're also going to see breaks from Sakura Notoki and Bryant. Caleb as well. Definitely seeing some struggles on this first section here. It's going to probably come down to a lot of how this next section goes. That said, holding combo into this section can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and it looks like it's Aoyin the only one to hold the combo, or to hold the FC coming into this next, or coming out of the first third of the map. Recovery on Demi here, but it's going to have to come with some extra support. Tilda needs to continue to hold like he did the last time around, and we're gonna have to see some breaks from Georgia. Ship struggling here on the transition into the halfway point.
Yeah, these sliders very much able to catch people off guard, but Eileen looking very comfortable on them. I'd say if you're comfortable, this is not the part to break on. And you're able to start snowballing that score again. Very much a carry-heavy map if you can manage this. Wow, really fantastic score. Even breaking there, that's a very impressive amount of the map to be able to hold through, especially in the minor league. But it just kind of goes to show how good these teams are at this point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Demi holding for so long kept it in play. But wait, with some extra breaks coming from Georgia here. Now look at this ending. We've just got Tilda holding the combo again.
Yeah, it's starting to slip in favor of Georgia here. It's actually going a little bit faster than I expect, but there's not that much map left. There's kind of an opportunity.
There is an opportunity, but the door is shutting. Caleb struggling a lot at this ending is going to help out here. Brian and Aoyin holding the line, trying their best to hold a little extra combo, but one combo break could send it either way here. And it's just
like that, we see the flip right at the end.
The flip.
That's incredible.
5K.
That's incredible.
Tilda holding on for dear life at the end. It's gonna
what
be
a comeback. Yeah, Tilda really clutching it at the end there, just holding through that, last section like nobody's business.
Tilda, I thought it was gonna look like a I thought it was gonna look like a runaway here for Georgia, but Tilda just holding the line at the end. The accuracy is gonna be what matters here. Tops the lobby by 2.5%. The only one above 95, and it's gonna matter. Demi with the incredible combo to fight Aoyin off in the middle, but it's Tilda to pull it over the line, and this is going to be a huge break point for Texas coming into this next round of picks.
Yeah, that accuracy from Tilda really put in a lot of work. Honestly, pretty impressive. Alright, but now that Texas C has worked through some of those core tapping picks, it'll be interesting to see what they go for next here.
Could always look at that, or could always look at that D, or that D3. Or
yeah.
even pivot something, even pivot to something like Hard Rock 1. I think the Mechanics roster, definitely their aim has been on point. We're going to be seeing that Hard Rock 1. I think that Texas's Mechanics roster has been really on point today. And I think those Nomad 1 and DT1 bans kind of just prove that. And now we're looking, and now that we've sort of run out of our more specialized picks, Texas C gonna try to bank on that consistency. And I think it's a great pick here because not only do they have the break point of coverage, but coming in after a break point like that, the confidence has to be up a lot.
Definitely. And if this is probably a good map to play when your confidence is high, especially going into this, knowing that Georgia banned aim. When the majority of this map is aim, and it's AR-10, so.
the confidence here definitely going to be a factor. But but at the same time, right? You can always see a turnaround.
Definitely. And we've also seen a decent number of maps so far where Texas makes a few mistakes early on, but they're able to lock in and pull that score back. That might be a little harder to do on this map because the really rough diff spikes are in that like final third of the map. So we'll see if that comes into play at all here. That said, they do have the mechanics, so maybe those stream sections might not actually be that big of a deal for them.
For sure. And also just looking at the numbers, all of Georgia kind of hovered around that 300K mark on their first play, or on this first play around against Forest.
That's true.
So very likely they're gonna be looking at, or very likely Texas C is looking to see a similar, or is looking for Georgia to make a similar performance. Can we get a panic
button?
Thank you. And it looks like Brian. Oh my God! Wait, I didn't realize all of Georgia actually ends up missing there at the beginning.
Oh wow!
But Nutty's finally gonna find a break, so now that just leaves Tilda as the only FC on the board. However, Aoyin struggling with the accuracy here, being sort of the big combo behind Caleb. Not gonna be too good for the score lead. But there goes Tilda, finally drops, so no FCs on the board, just the 2 recoveries. And a lot of slider breaks coming from Texas C now.
Yeah, there is still a bit of an accuracy advantage in favor of Texas here that's going to keep Georgia from running away with it. Caleb still holding the... Oh, never mind. Spoke a little bit too soon.
Yep, everyone just dying out, or everyone on Georgia just dying on that jump section. And now that's 3 full recoveries on Texas C here.
Yeah, so far just looking like Texas has a much better comfort level on this map.
Comfort is is there for sure, and the accuracy shows it for sure. I mean, Caleb, the only one to hold right now for Georgia on the combo. Meanwhile, Tilda and Rocco are just Tilda now, or just Rocco now. But the accuracy again just keeps the score lead stagnant. Actually starts to pull it over a little bit, even with the multiple combos on Georgia, and with no one being able to hold that.
Yeah, we are getting to the diff spiky part here, but I think Texas has just so much of a comfort advantage here. I don't think that Georgia is going to be able to do better on this next section than they are. Although so far they're holding. Haven't really got into the real meat of the diff spike yet, but here we go.
Yeah, starts to ramp up here.
Honestly, everybody kind of just locking in here.
Everyone locking in. The break on Bryant not going to be looking too hot, but already, even with Georgia doing better than their first run around, a 370k lead, that's at this point an insurmountable lead, and that lead is actually going to be, well, it starts to decrease just a little bit. Never mind, not with the break with Aoyin. Rocco here, star of the show with this 500k. But all of Texas C holding the line so well at every stage. Someone was there to hold the combo. Tilda holds it in the ending. And that is going to be match point for Texas C here. Up 5-2 now. they have the chance to capitalize and consolidate this breakpoint for the win, but they still have one more pick, even if it goes awry. You know, the consistency here on Texas cannot be understated. Tilda with the one miss, or Tilda being Tilda with the one miss, while Rocco holding the combo and the accuracy through the hardest parts of the map for so long. I think Georgia's definitely gonna struggle to find something to pick here. You know, I'd be looking at that force mod. I would 100% be looking at that force
Yeah,
mod
I can see that.
if I was Georgia right now. It's ult, it's snappy, it's something that, you know, something that we could definitely pull out a carry performance on. Just
How do you think Hidden One looks for them?
Hidden One, no, honestly, this is honestly not a bad pick. I actually expected them to pick this before Hidden 3.
Yeah, I can see
But-
Hidden One.
I can see Hidden 1, but nope. Nothing like that.
You know, the Nomad 2 was very close, wasn't it?
It was very close, yes.
The DT4 could make sense. It's a little bit lower BPM, but it is still sort of like your longer flow aim heavy. And there is a decent amount of, like, I mean, it's one of those weird, like, oh, is this an alt map? Is this an Nomad 2? What are we looking at here? I think for some players it feels like an alt map. For some players it feels like a, you know, lower BPM stream map with a little bit of aim. Yes. 2v1.
This is the 2v1 of a lifetime. Bring it in, fellas.
Got the players moving around, figuring out who's coming and where.
Looks like, yeah, we're gonna be keeping with the Hard Rock 1 roster for Texas, actually. Tilda, Nutty, and Rocco, while it's Azalem gonna be switching out for Brian. Azalem gonna be switching out here for Georgia. Alien and Caleb staying in. I think I think it's gonna be Alien and Tilda to really to focus on here.
Yeah, and chat's telling me that apparently it wasn't actually that close on Nomad 2 because Tilda just kind of ran away with it. 800k.
Yeah, Tilda, that was 760k on that. Very impressive. Get into this. Rocco's the first one, or Rocco's gonna be the first to break here. Accuracy deficits coming from Georgia B as a whole. Mostly Azalem and Alien gonna keep it from moving over to their favor. Gonna be very interesting to see how these players hold. We saw those streams at the beginning. Nutty and Caleb trading breaks. Tilda finds a miss. So now it's the two FCs on the bottom of the screen. No, it's not. It's everyone on Georgia breaking. So combo just on Rocco now, but accuracy keeping them from consolidating that lead. Tilda, Nutty recovering, starting to see a score lead inch up here, but it's gotta be contingent on Rocco holding that line against the combo, or against the rest of Georgia.
About to pick back up, having a little bit of that extra combo can make a huge difference. Rocco's still holding on. Only player left to hold on. Texas is going to start to run away with that score.
They are going to start to run away with it. Rocco, I think, almost over taps that double, but as long as he holds into this finger control section, and as long as he keeps holding, it looks like Texas C are going to complete. What? That's 4 maps in a row. It's going to look like Rocco
struggling a
only
little
B-rank
on the
in the
act,
lobby.
but still.
But he's the highest score. Combo is king in this game. and
Combo
Rocco-
is king.
Rocco holding the crown on this DT4. It's too far too late. Georgia B not going to be able to consolidate on this pick, and even as he breaks 800 combo, that's just a lead. Cannot bring back, will not bring back, even with Azalem, and that's going to shut the door. Georgia B, unfortunately, going to bowing out in the top 16. But Texas C going to find their way into the semifinals. Finals 2 years in a row. Consistency on these rosters.
Funnily enough, Tilda's actually passed Rocco in score just because of that accuracy difference.
Yeah.
I think Rocco still has the longest combo.
Rocco had the largest combo by far, but it just keeps happening. Tilda, the one to hold at the end. But the cohesion is going to be, or the cohesion is what matters here. The score at the end of the day is what matters, not who holds at the end. And Texas C, 6-2, is going to triumph over Georgia B. The first, that gives us Texas 1, Georgia 0 for this year. And Texas C will be going on to face Florida B in the top, or in the loser semifinals next week for a spot, or for a chance at their first ever top 8 placement. Congratulations to Texas C for this win and for matching their best performance. Demi, Rocco, Ship, QK, Tilda, and Nutty. But with that, I believe that is going to be the last 5USC stream for tonight. More matches to come on Monday and Tuesday, unless there is one more.
Yeah. That's it for tonight, I think.
Double check, and yep, I do believe that is going to be it. So that means it's a wraps for our Sunday night matches. Please do join us tomorrow night for the rest of the matches, or for most of the matches for the rest of this weekend. Georgia A versus Texas A up there as well as a few others in the minor league bracket. But with that, I have been Hydro. I've been joined here by our awesome streamer Kevin and Steve here commentating with me.
Yeah, thanks so much everybody for watching all these streams.
With that, we'll see you soon. Have a great night.